Hi everyone, it's Emma here from The Joy Journey, and thank you for joining us today. I have a special guest. Her name is Em. Thank you, Em, for joining us. And Em has a business called Embrace by Em.
Embrace with Em.
Embrace with Em. I do apologise. We'll cut that part out. So thank you for joining us today. The reason why Em has joined us is because I feel like we're kindred spirits. As you can see by our colourful shirts that we never organised, we just rocked up like this.
We got the memo.
We got the memo, yes. And I feel like with Em today, our discussion's going to be around, of course, joy. And I feel like Em has had an interesting life where she can really help us to understand how we can put joy into our life, into our everyday life. So thank you, Em, for joining us.
Thank you, Emma, for asking me.
Oh.
It's an absolute pleasure and an honour to be here, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to not only talk to you, but anybody else that happens to be watching.
Yeah, and to be listening, so hopefully.
And listening, yes.
Yeah. So I suppose, just to give you a bit of a preface of how Em and I met, we met probably about a year or so ago in a mentoring group online session that we've been doing for a year now, and sadly that has ended, but Em and I have stayed friends all throughout that and now continued on. Obviously that's why we're here today, and I just have such a I'm just trying to think of what the word is. I just have such grace and such profound gratefulness for Em to be in my life, because I feel like, you know, at the right time, at the right moment, you meet people who are meant to be in your world. And for however long that is meant to be, I hope it's for a lifetime. But you're certainly here as a mentor for me. And I know that people will get a lot out of what we're going to discuss today. So,
Thank you.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll get on to those. And do excuse us, we do have three lovely dogs with us today who have decided they want to come in and join us, which I've got no qualms in.
Part of the joy.
Yeah, part of the joy, absolutely, is the animals.
Sit down.
So I suppose, Em, the first question that I have is, can you tell me about a time when you felt the most joy in your life and what made that moment special for you?
Thanks, Emma. That's a great question. And I was reflecting upon this and thinking, wow, there are so many, you know, situations, and I really struggled to find one.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for me, when I think about it, I think there are times in your life, moments in your life, when I think about, you know, having my boys, the birth of my boys, being with Chris, my hubby, and different stages like that, but actually trying to pinpoint something other than those momentous occasions. I think, you know, being here in life is just such a joy. You know, so grateful to be here, and I've not always been in this space, I know that. So the ability to be able to recognise that and really understand, well, what is it that makes that moment or any moment in time a joy? And I think part of it for me is to recognise that each, you know, anything past the here and now is not a given. So being able to make the most of every moment and being super grateful for that moment, whatever that looks like, is where I sort of go, yeah, I think that's where I just say it's about just the fact that I woke up this morning, I'm breathing, I managed to get out of bed, all of that. So yeah, I think, and that's probably where I sit with those sorts of things.
So were you always in that place, like being appreciative of waking up, appreciative of being in those moments. So I understand what you're saying in terms of the bigger moments that we have that are really joyful. But have you always been in this space?
I won't say I've always been in the space. I know, even, as I think back as a child, I can recall times, and if my mum was here right now, she would tell you, if I was given something new, even a pair of welly boots, I took them to bed with me.
Right, okay.
As a small kid, anything that was new, I loved. It was an honour. I was so grateful to have it.
Yeah, right.
And I would sleep with those things.
Yeah.
So I would say it's probably always been there, but probably not to the extent that in my adulthood that I've been able to reach that stage now and realise what a gift just to sit in that space of joy and happiness and gratitude and all of that. So it probably has been there. It's probably part of who I am.
Yes.
As an individual.
Yes.
But
especially if you're going to bed with some welly.
My welly boots.
With your welly boots, and you were very young, so you appreciated and were joyful for the things that you obviously got. And whereas I would assume, and I don't like to assume, but when I was growing up, I don't think I was as grateful for things like that in my life. And I don't think it was until probably later on that I started to be really mindful.
Yeah. And that's probably, it's that mindfulness around all of those moments. But and I think, some of that probably is the fact that, we did struggle, as you would be aware, Emma. I mean, certainly growing up, money, and coming from the UK, money wasn't easy.
Right.
And so, when there were things that were given, it was like, oh, this is amazing. So I will go to bed with my welly boots and I will hug them.
And why not?
Important to me.
Yeah, well, and why not? And I think if it started you've cultivated that at such a young age, I think what a wonderful
absolutely
place to be. So I can really reflect on that and say, especially now that I have two children of my own, and you want for nothing, you want to give them everything. But I can see how there's the good and bad in that as well.
Absolutely.
Rather than being grateful for something.
Yes. Yeah.
So can you tell me, is there any kind of daily routines or anything that you like to do? Like, I don't know, it could be waking up of a morning, or it could be as you're drifting off to sleep. Is there any routines that you do to bring joy or to bring that gratefulness into your life as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So my morning routines in particular, because I think that's when, for me, I probably am feeling most sort of as if my battery is completely 100%. And again, it's not always been like this, but certainly the last, definitely the last probably couple of years has been a stage where my morning routine is, I get up, I usually walk the dogs in the morning, and then I come home, I do a workout. But the biggest part is the next stage, which I prime every day.
Okay.
So priming for me, if you're familiar with it, so it does involve, it involves breathing techniques, it involves sitting in a space of gratitude. It's being in a space of sort of sending love out to others as well as to yourself. And then on top of that, it's sitting in a space of that visionary and manifestation. So thinking about those future focuses and what does that look like for you. So that takes around 15 minutes every day. And that is just a definite routine for me before the day starts or fully starts, and then off we go. But at some point else during the day, I will also meditate.
Yeah,
so,
right. Okay.
And it could just be a quick 10-15 minute meditation, but just an opportunity to check in with me, check in with how things are going. And do I need any particular focus in something, or am I good to go? So
and you were saying that you haven't been doing that all your life. That's only been, so is it quite a recent thing that you've been, and is it a regular, you do it every day? It's not like a Monday to Friday thing, it's every day. Yeah.
It's every day.
Nice.
Yeah, and look, I mean, sorry, just got a dog that's trying to play around.
You want to be involved, I understand.
So yeah, look, I mean, as you are aware, and for me, I still will say, and you know, I will use his name.
Yes.
So I say back in probably, you know, I think most of us have heard about Tony Robbins.
Yes.
He has been a big part of my life since 2021. Not that long ago.
Yeah, right.
You know, when I think back to people and you hear about people where Tony was, you know, in their life since the 1980s and all of this, I knew of Tony.
Yes.
But that was it. And I actually say that I believe Tony came into my life at a time when I probably needed him most.
Yes.
And I've learnt to be, you know, part of his routines is the priming on a daily basis.
Okay.
And so being part of that, having that ingrained, because there's this big concept of, you know, how you are in state, you know, that emotion equals your life,
yes.
all of that sort of thing. So it's really important for me to be able to recognise and do those daily things now, because for me, I know they sit well.
Yes.
If you'd have asked me 10 years ago,
yes.
Look, again, different stages of life.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
And I think,
100%.
I think that's the big thing to, you know, for people to remember, we go through different stages in life.
Yes.
You know, my children are both now grown up, they are adults.
Yes.
Sorry, everybody. And so, you know, for me, it's now about giving back to me.
Yes.
Because I've got more capacity to be able to do that.
Yes.
But I also recognise, potentially, I also fell over when, you know, the boys were younger, and learning, you know, for me, and we can talk about that in a minute, but I think it's learning to fill your cup up first.
Yes.
So,
and I think you understand this well in terms of that's where the joy journey has stemmed from.
yes.
And that's really where I want to show mothers or caregivers or parents that it's super important, because I'm in that space, and I've been, when the kids were younger, in that space where I was giving all to everyone.
Yeah.
And there came a point in my time where it needed to be then, it can't be about everybody else, it needs to be about myself.
Yeah.
And so that's obviously how the joy journey came about. So I can appreciate what you're saying, because our whole life is a journey. And what we know now, and what we do for ourselves now, is very different to 5 years, 2 years, 7 years, 10 years ago. And it will be very different from when we move on. Moving forward. So I can appreciate doing those daily routines myself, and I'm very much like Em, a morning person myself, and I do my daily routines as well, and I can see a shift, a real difference in my life.
Yep.
And it only takes for me not to do it for one day,
Yes.
and I can see the difference that my day plays out.
Out of flow.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Out of flow, just not feeling centered, not feeling the best self that I can be for that particular day if I don't do, I suppose, what people would call sometimes a ritual, but a daily
Absolutely.
routine.
It is a ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can certainly appreciate what you're saying, because I can look back and say, oh, wow, I thought I was the best person there, but I wasn't doing all these things for myself until, you know, those changes happen. You start doing those things for yourself and you realise, wow, I'm in a much better place now than I have been. But hey, it's a learning curve and it's a journey.
It's a learning curve and a journey. And I think, you know, what I like to use is the analogy, and this was given to me by somebody a few years ago at something I've been to at a conference, was the oxygen mask. You know,
oh, yes.
You get on a flight, I'm sure the majority of us have all flown at some point, and you are told, if the oxygen masks, you know, come down, you need to put your own oxygen mask on first before you help those around you. And this is so very true.
Yeah.
It's not selfish.
No.
It's selflessness.
Yes.
Because, and it's a huge difference. Because you can't serve, you can't be of any help to anybody if you are struggling for your own oxygen.
Yeah. And I think especially from a mother's perspective, if you are doing something for yourself or doing several things for yourself, it is seen sometimes as selfish.
Yes.
And it took me a long time, Em, to really dig deep and realise that I'm giving back to myself, which in turn gives back to my whole everybody else, family, friends, whatever it is. And that I can be the best person for everyone else when I'm doing something for myself. Super important. Yes.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. Now, another question that I have is who or what inspires you the most, and how do they influence your sense of joy and fulfillment?
And another great question, and I think there are so many people. I mean, certainly a lot of my inspiration, you know, I used to say as growing up, probably my dad was my rock, particularly you know, as I entered into the late adolescence and into adulthood. You know, as most people do, we went toe to toe during childhood and early adolescence. But I would say, you know, he was definitely the person for me who would keep me grounded. So if things were looking like they were blowing, you know, out of control, Dad always had that voice of reason and the ability to be able to just keep everything where they needed to be kept. So Dad was always a great inspiration to me, the ability to have that voice. Tony Robbins, again, you know, he is my mentor. I'm truly grateful to him and Chloe Madanis. So for those of you that don't know Chloe has, God love her, has been around for, I think I'm right in saying 83 years now.
Wow.
She's just celebrated her 83rd or 84th birthday last week. And she is all into family systems. And what Chloe doesn't know is not worth knowing. And then obviously Tony, who's been around for 40-something odd years, which I just find so hard to fathom. So, you know, from those perspectives, I get a lot of my inspiration, a lot of my mentoring and guiding through them. But I think, you know, then I've got the people who are in my life. So obviously my close family, so Chris and the boys, my mum, my sister, and then it spreads out. So people like yourself, Emma, you know, it's just having the ability to know who you connect with. And I love to use the word, and I think we have something on this in a moment, but you know, for me, it's when I understand my vibe, I will attract my tribe.
Yes, love it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And I think also too, it's an ever-evolving beast, which is what we've spoken about and will continue to speak about, because again, it's a journey, isn't it? Yeah. And I can really resonate with Em because we are both very similar in terms of I think the reasoning, I absolutely 100% was always my father, and still is to this day. Is, you know, if I need to bounce something off of somebody and I feel like I might be hysterical, or not necessarily hysterical, or very emotional, because I am an emotive person. He is that rock, and so I can really relate to you there, Emma, absolutely 100%. And I agree with you. I don't even think it needs to be just about joy. It can be in those darkest of moments that we can certainly, not at the time, of course, but we can certainly get inspiration from that
absolutely.
to help us to move us forward in maybe we were meant to be in a different direction. And so that can be inspiration too at your darkest, times, or those moments that are not so.
Absolutely. And I think, Emma, as you said, where we met, on that spiritual pathway. And I think for me, and I've resonated with our, facilitator, our coach, our mentor at that time, was the fact with something that I was going through at that moment in time, I was being bitch slapped by the universe because I was so on the wrong path.
Yeah, right.
And so I was, and I wasn't listening.
Yes.
And that was the big thing. I wasn't listening to what I was being told. So, hey, do you know what? I'm going to put this block in your way and it's going to be painful. But that's okay. I came out the other side and I can reflect back now and I can laugh and I can smile and I can joke and I can see my part in it all.
Yes.
But that is, like you say, it's in those moments of identifying if you are in a space, what is the story you are telling yourself? Because quite often it is BS.
Yeah.
And so what is the story I am telling myself, and how do I get out of this story to be the best version that I can of me? And who do I need to be able to do that with? Or, what tools can I pull upon?
Yeah. But that's not an easy place to be in, because as you and I both know, it's difficult to have a look at yourself. It's difficult to say, okay, this has happened to me and I'm sitting in this story, and do I stay here or do I find a way to get out of those stories? And when we're talking about stories, it could be challenges.
Yeah.
It could be anything, which leads on to the next question, which I didn't realise I was moving in towards. Yeah, but I think you have to have some level of self-awareness.
Oh, completely.
Because when you are faced with challenges, and I can speak from experience, it's easier to sit in that challenge, or it's easy to sit in that experience and say, woe is me, why me, what have I done wrong, what have I said, or what have I done, or what haven't I done, or all these questions. That's a lot easier to do, Em, than it is to stand outside of that and go, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a challenge, this is something that's happening in my life.
Yeah.
Where do I go from here?
Yeah.
So, my question is, could you share any challenges you have faced and how have you managed to stay positive through them?
Absolutely. And I think, it's society is great at keeping us in such a negative space. When you reflect back and think back about media and social media, what does that look like? How often do you hear the wonderful stories of the things going on around the world?
Yeah.
Not
very often.
Not very often. So I beg you all, turn the news off.
Yeah.
The news is there to pull us into this negative association, to think that the world is completely bad. And it's not, it's just not. And so, and I can't stress enough the amount of times that I've in recent weeks spoken about the fact of, there are good and bad in everybody. So you only need to be responsible for you. And I encourage everybody to just love on no matter what.
Yeah.
But I think, coming back to your question, I recognise that for me, I'm the only one that can be my emotions. Nobody else can make me be a certain way. Okay. I can react to how something is put forward to me, whether that's good, bad or ugly.
Yes.
But that is also my choice.
Yes.
So, truly acknowledging that I am completely responsible for my own happiness,
Yes.
for my own joy,
Yeah.
and sitting in that space of being comfortable enough to know that I've got so much to give to everybody, but to be able to be that provider of love and kindness and all of that without the expectation that it will come back to me. Because the minute I put an expectation on,
Yes.
I'm in a stage of competition,
Yes.
and that just depletes the joy.
Yeah, depletes. And it's so funny because I had this conversation literally this morning with my dad before I came to visit him. And it was about turning off the news, turning off the TV. Because I said to Dad, you've got to understand that everything is vibration. And if we're having negativity coming towards us, regardless that it's a TV, it could be the radio, it could be anything, it could be a person.
Yes.
That negativity radiates through us. Whether we believe that or not, everything is energy.
Everything is energy.
And for me right now, it's super important that I stay grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that. I practice every day to stay grounded, and that exactly like you, Em, it's about radiating that positivity, radiating that joy, radiating that love. It starts with me first.
Yes, absolutely.
And then it's that
it oozes.
ripple, it oozes. It has that ripple effect.
Yeah. It's going to come back at you tenfold.
Yes, and it's
Without
not about
realising.
anybody else. This is about me and feeling good for me,
Yeah,
and that's what I said to Dad.
Yeah, definitely.
Please turn off the news. Please, you need to be in our positive, energetic state.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the more we hench into that vibe, the worse it is. So, yes, I have faced challenges over the years,
Haven't we all?
As we all do.
And we will continue to in a nice way.
It's how do I recognise, do I show up?
Yeah, okay.
What is my mindset like? As you know, Emma, I was diagnosed 10 years ago with what is known as a ductal carcinoma in situ. It's the stage before invasive breast cancer.
Okay.
I must admit, not one time did I ever think that it was going to be something that would finish me. That never entered my mindset.
Yeah,
that was
right.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe if it had entered my mindset 5 years ago, that might have been different because I was in a different space.
Yeah, right.
But 10 years ago, no, I was given options, and I'm so grateful for those options. But for me, it was like, no, it's mind over matter. And, I am very much a person who, when things happen, don't fear the worst. We sit in a space of fear.
Yeah.
And fear is just something that's there because we don't understand. So that ability to just be able to say, look, it's okay, and whatever happens, I will deal with it at that moment in time. But whatever happens, don't let it bring you down. Find something that's going to pull you up as much as as much as you can.
And I suppose that's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to sit in fear.
Mm. Oh,
it's easy to, sometimes be in the negative, or because, don't get me wrong, we've all been in that place. We've all been in that space, and absolutely 100%. So, is there something that you can, I suppose, let our guests know about a mindset thing that you would do of a morning, or is there a mindset change that you would say to somebody if they've come up? Maybe let's give them a scenario. So they've had somebody come up to them and abuse them for something that they have not really done, but that person has decided to vent at them for the day in that moment for whatever reason. So is there something that you would tell a person, because a lot of times you just want to react. A lot of times you want to go back and go, whoa, hang on here. No, I haven't done that. I didn't do that. And it's easy to protect yourself, or you think that you're going back to, support, defend, whatever that word is. So is there something different that we can do when we're in those situations?
And I think, it depends on the situations.
Yeah, of course.
For me, I think straight away, we all have those options to make a 2 millimeter shift. And look, we all have bad days, and believe me, there are moments when I still go, whatever. Yes. But this then is where my mindset kicks in. Okay. And it's so if in that situation, if it was, we'll say, if it was in a professional setting, or
let's say in a work setting.
In a work setting where somebody has come up, it's about being in the space of saying to yourself, being able to just breathe for a start, and truly listening, because you're wanting to try and understand, rather than I'm ready to respond and I'm going to defend my character and whatever.
Yes.
I'm here to just listen.
Yeah.
Because there's potentially something going on there for this other person.
Yes.
That may have nothing to do with me.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, I've left the sugar in the wrong place, or I've done something, and that has triggered this whole barrage.
Yes.
And so being in a space of being able to just, hand on your heart and truly sitting in a space of love and kindness.
Yes.
And acknowledging, just as I say, being there to listen to them, and then acknowledging what you've heard without any blame. And I think we are, again, such a society that is ready to blame everybody and everything, rather than just saying, it's okay, there is no blame here, there's no judgment.
Yes.
And let's just be kind to each other so that we can raise that vibration, rather than, I'm now going to react to you, and so our vibration is going to drop.
Yes. Yeah, the energy levels drop, and then you don't... And then you walk away and you don't feel...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, that's the other thing. It's when you enter that stage, you are in it for competition.
Yeah, right. I've never really looked, to be honest, even us having this conversation now, I've never really looked at it as being in competition.
Yeah. It's a winner and a loser.
Yeah, and absolutely right. In an argument,
it always feels,
it always feels like that, rather than there being about an understanding that this is how I feel, or this situation is making me feel this way, and then having you speaking, and then having that other person to speak about how they feel. Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily, because I know how challenging it can be, that actually, you know what, when neither of us are in the right headset, even in personal relationships where this is more likely to probably stem some whole, arguments.
Yes.
We're not in the right mindset to be talking right now.
Yes.
But the biggest thing is to be in the space to listen, to appreciate, don't expect, don't head into that competition. And then think, well, what do I need to do to change? Because as I've said, emotion equals your motion equals your life.
Yes.
So if my emotion is going to be angry and frustrated and whatever, my motion, my body is just going to be feeling pretty and that is how my life is going to play out.
Yes.
Whereas if I can say, okay, I'm in this space of love and joy and happiness and kindness, my motion is more likely to be raised up, and therefore my life will raise.
Yeah.
So for me, as I say, it does happen. I don't sit in this happy.
No,
we're not happy, running around the house.
Nor do I.
I'm happy. But it is, what can I do to change my emotional state? And I have an absolute passion for music.
Yes.
I love the 80s. I grew up with the 80s music. And so there are songs that will so resonate with me.
Yes.
And I will, as some ex-colleagues of mine know, some friends of mine know, I will dance around the kitchen singing into Broccoli. Can I sing? No, I can't sing. Does that stop me? Absolutely not. And it's just that whole ability to get my body moving, feel that in state, and being going, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
That will then give me the space to be able to not only, you know, think, okay, when can we meet to have this conversation, but also give me that opportunity to just sort of go, you know, what was my part in all of this?
Yeah.
And do I have a part in all of this?
Was this about you, or was this about something else?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also too, that's why we're talking about those morning routines. You know, if we're setting ourselves up for success, we're setting ourselves up for positivity, we're setting ourselves up for the joy, then you're going to find that flows in your life so much easier. And you're still going to have some disagreements or challenges, but the way you go about it, it's in a very different mindset and a very different way, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, you try and be sitting in a space of gratitude and be angry and peed off at the same time. You actually cannot do it.
Yes. And it's like, you know, when they talk about you smiling, you know, it changes the chemicals in your body, but your brain. You can't. It's hard to be angry when you're smiling. So
smiling, false laughing. Just make yourself get yourself into a state where you are laughing. Because that will actually encourage you to laugh. So it might be a fake laugh to begin with, but it carries on.
Absolutely.
Being able to, you know, I mean, we potentially all have these superheroes, you know, whether it be Wonder Woman or Superman or Batman, whoever it is, and think about the poses that they stand in, you know. Actually, the research, and there has been research done on this. So by standing in one of those super poses, whatever that looks like, for 2 minutes will change your state.
Yeah.
So if you are feeling overwhelmed, flooded, angry, peed off, whatever the word, just try and get yourself into a space of, you know, standing with your hands on your hips and standing tall. 2 minutes.
Yeah. Makes a difference, doesn't it?
Makes a huge difference.
And then the smile.
And then the smile. Yeah.
You know, makes a massive, can make a massive shift.
Yep, for sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What role do relationships play in your happiness? So, and relationships, I mean, it could be work colleagues, it could be family, it could be friends, it could be, you know, the dogs, it could be, you know,
on your feet.
Yeah. So, how do they play?
Yeah, relationships are crucial to me.
Yeah.
Probably always have been. I've worked with people from a very young age, right the way through, and obviously now in my own business. But, you know, for me, we have 6 core human needs. And my 2 highest needs are the need for love and connection and the need for contribution. So, you know, the contribution comes from a spiritual perspective, but the love and connection. So having relationships and that ability to connect with people are very crucial. As I said earlier, you know, once I raise my vibe, I find my tribe, because it is about recognizing, you know, you need to connect with people that are going to help you lift, or help, you know, be in that space. You know, we talk about proximity and all of that, and you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend most time with. And certainly, you know, recognizing that. And I know, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying, my youngest actually has just entered into a relationship, and he has told his new partner, Mum's all about relationships. So whatever happens, make sure you talk to her.
Is that about their relationship or her relationship with herself, or
everything?
Everything.
Because I think, you know, and it does start within, because you have to have the relationship with yourself.
Absolutely, 100%. If I had known that like 20 years or 30 years ago, wow, what a difference. But hey, I'm here now. That's all that matters.
And that is the biggest thing, because, you know, one of the things, and it's interesting, I mean, Emma, you're doing something next week with Sage Robbins, and there was a question posed during the week, And I actually said, oh my goodness, do you know, I've always said to people, age is only a number. It's only a number. And then I sit in this space of going, oh, if only I had known. But it doesn't matter.
No.
Because I know it now.
Yes.
And I've got the ability to live the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
In this space.
Absolutely.
Do I wish I'd started it earlier? Of course. But do you know what? It's okay.
Yes.
And I think that's really important for you all, you know, your listeners to understand.
Absolutely. 100%.
That it doesn't matter when you start this. No. We've all got this innate ability within us to recognise that beautiful relationship that we can have, you know, having that ability to have the self-love and the self-care and all of that. It will come, you know, because it is difficult when you've got children, especially young ones.
It is.
To be able to find the space. You know, I used to joke when I was running parenting classes, I used to joke about the fact that I couldn't even go to the toilet without one of the kids or one of the dogs coming to the bathroom with me.
We know that well. We know that very well.
And it's like, holy smoke, boys, you know, I just need 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's being able to be accepting of that and know that at some point, you know, whether it's in the next few days, the next few weeks, but that time will come. Your time will come.
Yes.
However you find it.
Yeah. And I think that's why I've done the joy journey, because it's about finding the small little things that you can do in your everyday to appreciate, even if it's, you know, you're rushing the kids to school and you look up to the sky and it's a beautiful blue sky and the sun is out, and just appreciating those small little things can make a massive difference to your life. And again, when you look up, what do you automatically do when you see a beautiful day? I smile.
Absolutely.
So it's really encompassing when we are busy, because I understand we're busy. I'm a busy mum as well, but not only getting those routines, but there's just those small everyday
those
moments.
Small wins.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think, you know, I mean, Tony, and I'm not sure if you've heard him use the phrase of net time. So net, N-E-T, no extra time. So what can you do when you are driving the car safely? What can you do when you are cooking the dinner? Those sorts of things, because there is always something you can do that will, you know, support you. So is it when you're cooking the dinner, you're jumping around the kitchen, singing into broccoli and all of that sort of thing? There are moments that you can find space. We all have the same 24 hours. Nobody is given anything extra. So it's just identifying, well, what could I do that's going to help me? You know, could I listen to some uplifting music as I'm driving the car? And being in that space.
Well, I'll give you an example, because Em knows this. I was cleaning the house whilst listening to music, and then the light bulb moment happened, and I'm like texting Emma saying, this is what I'm doing right now, and we need to get together to have this chat. So there you go. And boom, here we are. So
and what a joy.
And what a joy. And it's good to have that laugh. It's good to have that moment. It's good to share that moment, you know, of probably seeing me and imagining me in my dirty clothes, but I'm dancing like there's no tomorrow, people. So there you go. Even if you only get that laugh for visualising that right now, that's all I worry about.
That's it.
I suppose the next question I have is, how do you balance the demands of daily life while ensuring you make time for activities that bring you joy? Look, I suppose we've just
I mean, that seriously is about, you know, I mean, I've got a great method that I use where I identify, you know, what is important to me, what do I need to get, why is it important? You know, what it is, why it is. We worry about the how later, but it's about that, how am I going to get the leverage on this? You know, because there are things that we have to do each and every day, you know, that we don't necessarily find joyful, paying bills, all of those sorts of things, you know. But it's like, okay, what do I need to do? How can I plan that? but also starting that day. So when I set myself up for the day, I'm setting myself up for as much success as I can possibly give myself, rather than, you know, doom scrolling on Facebook or social media.
Yes.
I don't listen to the news. I do post on social media. I don't necessarily go into social media, but I do post on social media. And then it is just a case of, okay, well, you know, I think, you know, there's a great word, flexibility.
Yes.
And we know that, you know, we might have these magnificent plans laid out for the day, but actually sometimes that doesn't always work out. Again, it's about how do I respond to that? You know, if I've got this wonderful self-care routine planned and something happens, you know, well, that's okay. The self-care will still happen, it just needs to be pushed slightly.
Yeah.
So, but it's all about here, but living here.
Yeah.
Because when we live here,
Yeah.
the brain loves to take us, the mind
It does.
loves to take us on a different journey.
It certainly does.
Mm.
Yeah. Is there a hobby or a passion that you like to do that brings you joy and happiness?
One of them's laid on your feet.
Yes. I've got a puppy dog laying on my feet right now and having the best time, best sleep, and my feet are being warmed.
Because we need the warmth on a day like today. Yeah, look, animals, dogs in particular,
Yes.
are my passion.
Love it.
They've always been in my life. It's not since until we moved to Australia 13 years ago, just after we moved. So we've been here about a year that we got our first rescue. And so rescue has become a very important part of my life. It's a part of our lives, you know, Chris's as well, and that is where we are headed. But, you know, rescue, I can't describe a rescue dog. It's so completely different to any other dogs that I've ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they know, and they bring a different sense of gratitude and joy and all of that with them. So yes, so the dogs absolutely are our passion, and anything, you know, we tend to do. But otherwise, it's spending time. I do have a self-care routine on a Monday.
Nice, lovely.
So it's my self-care Mondays.
Nice.
And, you know, that is my time spent with Chris. And we head to the beach and I'll go swimming, no matter generally what the weather is like.
Yes.
Obviously, we live in a place in the country where we're very fortunate that the sea is usually, you know, pretty good to swim in most of the time.
Yes.
But definitely, you know, that the ability to connect with the sea is a passion of mine. I'm very much a water baby.
Yeah, water person. Same
Yeah.
here. Yeah. Lovely. And the rescue dogs.
And the rescue. Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
The crazy rescues.
So what advice would you give to other women who are seeking to find more joy in their lives? And it may not even be women. It could be any caregivers.
Anybody.
To be,
Yeah. And I think the first thing is don't compare yourself to others, because all our journeys are different.
Absolutely.
And some people have more capacity than others to, you know, do those self-care moments.
Yes.
But know you are in the space that you are meant to be at that moment in time. But if you are feeling something is not quite right, you know, sit with that. Understand, well, what is that about? And honouring you as a person, as an individual, because I think oftentimes, particularly, you know, and I will, you know, bring the feminine in, you know, for women, for mums, we have so many roles that we do play that, you know, we we love before we've, 9 times out of 10, even before we've conceived a child, we are loving of that little person that is going to come to us. And that continues on. The maternal love is so different. One of the big things that I've found as well, which has been a learning curve for me only since December, so not that long ago, is I tended to sit a lot in my masculine energy. So we all have feminine and masculine energies. Yes. And I tended to sit a lot in my masculine energy, which, look, that's okay some of the time, but it really is about being sat in that feminine space, recognizing silly little things, even if it's playing the more feminine type music as opposed to some of that heavier space or darker space. Identifying, even what color is your underwear? It was things like that were so mind-blowing to me.
Yes.
That being able to recognize that and having that space to just be able to say, okay, these are little things that I can change that will help the bigger picture.
It will help the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And
be kind. I cannot state enough. Give yourself grace.
Yes.
And be kind. We give so much to others if we're not careful.
Yes.
Particularly as mums. Think about how you treat other people, your loved ones, your kids, whatever.
Yes.
And how do you treat yourself the same? Or are you more judgmental because you haven't been able to do the 5 machine loads of washing, get the shopping, take the kids to and from school, get the dinner ready and all of that?
Yes.
And still be, happy and smiling.
Yeah, and superwoman. Yeah, I think we can certainly be harsh or I can't speak for everybody, but I just know being myself that I can certainly be harsh on myself and very critical at times on myself, especially sometimes when things don't go as planned.
Yeah, we can be our own worst enemies.
Yeah, and I've really learned exactly like you. I really learnt to be a lot more kinder and caring to myself and a lot more understanding of I am just a human being and I just have to be who I need to be in this moment and I'm not always going to get everything right. And I really feel like over the last little while, especially with my 2 boys, it's really super important that they don't think that I know everything or that I can be everything.
No.
I think there comes a point where, I needed to show them, I know this doesn't sound right, but to really show them who mum is and to say, well, actually, mum made a mistake there and I'm just a human being and I'm really sorry that we've been put in this situation, or this was to do with a schooling situation with one of my children. And I just had to throw my hands up him and I just had to say to them, look, I'm so sorry. Mum didn't ask the right questions, but I will be honest with you, Mum didn't really know the right questions to ask. And oh wow, it was quite an emotional moment. There of course was tears when I was talking to my son, but in saying that, it was very empowering at the same time because I feel like the boys need to know that mum is a human being just like they are.
Absolutely. And Emma, that is beautiful. And I often say to people, and certainly as a child who was, born late 69 and grew up, we were kids that were seen, not heard. Absolutely. And if you were told something, you just went along with it.
Absolutely.
And, I understand and I've unpacked my model of the world and my blueprint and I know all that. And I know now who I am at my true core authentic self, and people will understand they either love me or hate me.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yes.
But the biggest thing that I will say to people is, as adults, I believe, as I said at the start, we are in a society that is so judging and we have to be a certain way
Yes.
for people. How amazing to be able to step into a space as an adult and own our behaviour or what we've said or what we didn't say with our own kids.
Yeah.
To show them, do you know what? I actually get it wrong.
Yes.
I don't know everything.
No.
I'm here. You guys didn't come with a manual.
No. Oh, it would have been so lovely if they did.
We buy a TV, we buy a phone. Everything comes with a manual.
Yeah.
Kids don't.
No.
And, you know, we parent either the way we were parented,
Yes.
or we parent completely opposite.
Yes.
And then we come together with somebody else.
Yes.
So we've got multiple parenting happening.
Yes.
And so to be able to just sit in a space with your kids and say, it's okay, Mum, shh, it's okay, I got it wrong.
Yes.
What a way for them to be able to grow up and accept that adults aren't always right.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that's okay.
100%. And it was just in that moment that I think I gave myself some grace in.
Absolutely.
And it's funny how, especially with my boys, they know intuitively how to respond and they're very understanding of it. And I think the more and more we do those things, the more and more, you know, that I'm showing them that they can have compassion for themselves as well, and in any given moment.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
yeah.
And I truly hope we, you know, this generation that are coming through now, become a society of recognising and appreciating, not expecting.
Yes.
I think, you know, there's enough change going on in the world. The good stuff that we don't get to hear about. We only get to hear about the negativity. So to be able to see some of that good stuff happening, and that I think the generation, as I say, that's coming through, recognise this more so than we ever did.
Yes.
Because we're allowing them to see that.
Yes,
So-
absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And I suppose the last question is, in what ways has your definition of joy and fulfillment evolved over the years?
Oh,
I know. It's a loaded question.
it's a loaded question.
In what ways has your definition of joy and fulfillment evolved over the years?
Yeah. And look, great question, because I think there are so many stages to life.
Yeah.
You know, we all go through the different stages.
Yeah.
And so at different stages and spaces within our lives, we will see joy as something completely different. For me, you know, reaching the age that I've reached, one, I'm grateful to have got there, but I also recognise I've got a life of experiences
Yes.
that I have got to today and I can draw upon. And I'm here to be my, as I said, my true authentic self. I'm here to be raw. I'm here to be open and transparent, to be empathic towards other people. And I hope that through that recognition, it's the ability to be able to cultivate the joy. It's a different space to where I was 5 years ago, where I was 10 years ago, because it just, you know, it's an ever evolving feast, and you can draw on all those different experiences, but the ability to be able to connect and recognize that the joy is within you, you just need to dig deep and find it.
Yeah.
So,
Lovely.
thank you.
I really want to thank Em for joining us here today and for asking the multitude of questions that I have about joy, love and fulfillment, which is what I want to share with people, as you're aware, Em.
Yeah.
I suppose if anybody would like to work with you, Em, where do they find you? Where do they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I do, as you will be aware, Emma, I do have a website. which is currently being enhanced to look, this was part of my journey. I named my business one thing and it never sat comfortably with me, so I actually rebranded, despite the fact that the business is only very new. So it's in the middle of being transitioned, but it is under Ohana Coaching and Mediation. However, you can find me on Facebook, on the social media platforms, so I am under Embrace with Em.
Love it, love it, love it. And so anybody can contact you on the
Anybody
social
can
media.
contact me on social media.
Lovely.
Em Crooks or Embrace with Em.
Lovely. And I really do appreciate that you've taken the time out to sit down here with me today to share your experiences, because I know that it will resonate with people who are following the joy journey, and just to see where that evolves for me and where that's going to go. It's just about really showing people how they can cultivate joy in their life with the smallest of things, but also by listening to people and their experiences in life to show them that it just takes just a little bit.
Small steps.
That's it.
Add the extra rungs to your ladder.
Absolutely. Just those small things, everyday things that, you know, we can change in our lives to bring us joy. I really do appreciate you, Emma. I really do appreciate all the puppy dogs that were with us here today, especially one that was keeping my feet warm whilst we were having this conversation. I really do appreciate you joining us and listening to us today, and you know, I've got more people,
joy to come.
More joy to come. So hopefully you can join us. I'm also on Facebook, The Joy Journey, and you can also find me at The Joy Journey #2 at gmail.com.au if you want to send me any kind of messages or any questions that you would love me to ask my guests. But thank you very much for joining us, and you have a brilliant day.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you, Em.
Thanks, everybody.